We are live.
Thank you. We are going to start. Did not hear from Counselor Lee Garcia. Did anyone hear from Counselor Garcia? I'm going to give us just about a minute or two to see if Counselor Lee Garcia gets here. We're having a drive from across town, so it takes a while. And then we will call to order the meeting. So just give us a second, everyone. And there is Counselor Lee Garcia. So I will call to order the Public Works and Utilities Committee meeting on January 6, 2025. Happy New Year, everybody. And it is 5:01. Could I get a roll call, please?
Certainly, Madam Chair. Counselor Romero Worth.
Here.
Counselor Michael Garcia.
Present.
Counselor Castro.
Presente.
Counselor Lee Garcia.
Here.
Chair Chavez.
Here.
You have a quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Next is approval of the agenda. Do we have any changes from staff?
No changes from staff.
Move to approve. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. Next is approval of the consent agenda. Last I heard, there was nothing pulled off of consent. Has that changed from staff,
Not that I know of, Madam
committee
Chair.
members? Could I get a motion, please?
Move to approve.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Could I get a roll call vote?
Certainly. Counselor Lee Garcia.
Yes.
Counselor Castro.
Yes.
Counselor Michael Garcia.
Yes.
Counselor Romero Worth.
Yes.
Chair Chavez.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next is public comment. Do we have anyone in the audience that would like to come up and speak to us today? Doesn't look like it. Moving on, it will be our only presentation today. We have one presentation, update on the asset management system being implemented by utilities and public works departments. Taylor Jurgens, Engineer Utilities, and Sean Moody, Capital Projects Manager, Public Works, will be here to present.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the committee, and Happy New Year. If at any point you can't hear me, just let me know and I can move closer to the mic. But I'm Taylor Jurgens. I'm an engineer with the Water Division, and tonight I'll be presenting to you on the 2025 Asset Management Plan update for the Water Division. So this is just a brief agenda of what I'm going to touch on tonight. First, I'll just give a brief review of the current assets we have in our system, as well as some of our current asset management practices. Then I'll highlight the progress we made over 2024 and the next steps we have planned for 2025. And then I'll wrap up with a quick overview of a couple new software products that we have planned to roll out in 2025. So you guys have probably seen a slide similar to this before, but there's a couple updated numbers on it. This is basically an overview of our existing assets in our water system. We have about 620 miles of mains, 3,200 plus hydrants, 10,000 valves. And then we've got all our storage tanks, our city wells, Buckman wells, treatment plants and reservoirs. And really add all this up and we have roughly $1 billion in assets, excluding BDD. So that's a lot of assets we have to manage. Some of our current asset management practices that we're doing. First and foremost, we have our 2020 asset management plan. Just kind of what kicked off this whole asset management program rollout. We've also got our priority line replacement program that really focuses on replacing existing mains in our system that are in poor condition or near the end of their useful life. And I want to say this past year, we did about 1 mile of main replacement in that program. Our source of supply group also has a maintenance management software that they use to help manage their operations, maintenance, and repairs for all their assets, mainly at Canyon Road Treatment Plant, the wells, and the pump stations. And finally, we have our GIS system that we perform regular updates to anytime we have new mains being put in or main replacement projects going on. This is a highlight of what we accomplished in 2024. The biggest achievement being that we selected our asset management software vendor, who is OpenGov, and we finalized the scope of work with them. The plan there is to roll out that software throughout public utilities in the water division, wastewater division, and BDB. And we've also been working closely with Public Works over the last several months as well, and they'll be included in this implementation as well. We expect that implementation to take about 6 to 9 months once kind of get that contract in place. And we've got the contract drafted. It's in the review stage now. We're hoping to have that contract ready to come for approval within the next month. Additionally, we identified another software tool that we're planning on procuring that'll help us support our priority line replacement program. And really what it is a machine learning model that uses our historic main break data along with several other factors to identify the highest risk mains we have in our system so that we can use that data to prioritize and decide where we're going to replace and rehab mains next. Now looking ahead to next steps for 2025, our first step is to execute that contract for the OpenGov asset management software. And once that's done, we'll roll right into the implementation phase. And as I said, public utilities anyway, that's going to take about 6 to 9 months. And so we're hopeful that by the end of this year, we may be using this software within public utilities. In addition to that, we're hoping to have that Voda AI software in place soon as well, so that we can start using that to form our priority line replacement program as well. And then I'll go through these next slides fairly quickly, but I just wanted to give a quick overview of those 2 new softwares I mentioned that we plan to roll out in the coming year. First, with OpenGov Asset Management, this just highlights some of the this provides. Some of them being a work order management system, life cycle cost analysis tools, capital improvement planning tools, an integration with GIS, as well as a mobile application for field crews to use when they're out on the job. Now, these next couple slides are just some screenshots of the software that we're implementing, just to give you a sense of what that might look like. This first one shows a treatment facility. This isn't our system, but it's just an example system. You kind of see the different processes and structures all laid out on the map for easy navigation. Easy to get between any process or asset you might want to from there. It's easy to access any particular assets in the system. Right there, you've got manufacturer data. You can get the O&M manuals. You've got condition ratings, life, various tools like that. Well, each asset. And then you've got a lot of dashboarding tools that really anyone can use to track any data that we're reporting in our systems. And I guess track different metrics for how many work orders have been completed, what's the progress on this program over here, things like that. And then the next piece, as I mentioned, was the Voda AI software, that machine learning model that uses historical breaks, all these other factors out in the environment to build this risk model for all types of our system. So that way we can prioritize our highest risk pipes to rehab or repair or replace or just do more investigation. And along with that, they have remaining useful life projections for all the pipes in the system, as well as this project planning. Build your specific placement projects. There's some additions that come along. This is just a look at the main interface of that software. It basically shows your distribution network. And there's several criteria you can filter by. But this one in particular showing like the worst one. I just don't easily see where your pipes are. Two. And then this is that remaining useful life rule I mentioned where it takes all the pipes, develops its useful life expectancy and plots them out on the curve. Kind of get a sense of the age of your system, all of that. And that's all I have. I'll see if Regina has anything she wants to add on the public works.
Thank you so much, Taylor. Thank you for your work and your partnership on this project. We're really lucky to have a really diligent partner to help us through this. So Public Works doesn't currently have our assets in GIS, but it was part of the BPAC resolution. If you remember, one of the first therefores was that we would start doing inventory on our sidewalks, our crosswalks, our trails. We would prioritize repairs. Our infrastructure is a little bit different than theirs, but it's the same concept. We need to get it all into GIS. We need the people in the field to be able to look at a work order and, it'll show them the location of where the failure is. They can, click on it and add the work they've done, the repair work. We'll be starting a little further back, but we're starting with the implementation of this work order system Cartograph, and we're really excited. And then we'll be building our GIS under it. And that will allow us to really start implementing that BPAC resolution. We got $1 million in one-time funding in the last round at the beginning of this fiscal year. For $1 million for sidewalks. And so we've brought in a project manager. Bike Santa Fe just gave us a big study about where to focus our efforts. We'll be tying into the GIS and the work order system. So it's all starting to come together so that we can begin to deliver the results. And I think it'll make us more able to report on work that we've done. So that's more visible, as well as do planning for work. Based on the age of the assets like utilities does. So we're really excited about this improvement. And in fact, the impact fee law requires that we have an asset management system. And it obviously makes a lot of sense to have it. And so now we'll be working really hard to implement that in this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Thank you, Mr. Jerkins. Is there any questions, comments from committee members? Yes, Councilor Garcia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Taylor, for the presentation. So then AI is going to help with some of the prediction of the water main challenges we've had. How reliable is that, and what other municipalities have used similar AI technologies, and the consistency of other entities that are currently using this type of technology?
Chair, Councilor Garcia, good question. And this software has this machine learning model that it'll ingest our historical break data, and then it's got this link to various other data sources like USGS maps on soil conditions, proximity to railways and highways, elevations, climate. There's all these different factors that go into this model, and it's looking for the best link and relationship it can make from different factors to main breaks we have. And then it sort of projects those citywide on all our mains. So that's kind of what the model itself is doing, looking at all the factors it can identify what may have the biggest effect on predicting future main failures. And they've shown us some data from other municipalities. I think one of their big clients is Las Vegas, Nevada. Another one it's a city in Arizona. I can't remember, Tucson, or another one there. And there's a variety of others that I can't remember, but they've shown us some case studies where the municipality has withheld like a year or two of data and seen what the software is going to predict, and then they reveal the data. And in that case, there was some pretty strong correlation to what it predicted versus they have some pretty solid studies there.
And so the municipalities you recited don't necessarily see the freezing temperatures like we see here in Santa Fe, and that's when we see a lot of water main breaks. So I guess if it's possible to look at any data provided from those type of municipalities that have the freezing temperatures, as well as the aging infrastructure and the types of materials, because from some of the mains that have broken in District 2, it's been due to age and material. And so my hope is that that would be one of the factors, or some of the factors taken into the data that's compiled for the AI prediction. But when you factor in freezing temperatures, those can throw curveballs. I mean, for example, right now we're going to be going through major freeze over the next couple of days. And I would not be surprised if we have a water main break or two throughout the city. And if this type of technology can help us predict that, knowing that we know it's going to be freezing temperature over the next couple of days, what mains are likely to break, what materials might be needed to quickly replace, because I think that was one of the challenges I've seen in the past, where when water service is impacted, we might not have the certain supplies or equipment, such as water valves, et cetera, that can't be quickly swapped in and out. It might take, a couple of days. In some instances, that's lots of questions, but I'm thankful that you're looking into this and utilizing technology to at least help us with this challenge. I mean, one of the feedback I was told is that it would cost too much money to really do a thorough inspection of these pipes. So how does AI help with having to kind of do a thorough inspection of each?
Yeah, so what this tool can do is it'll sort of sort and rank your pipes in your system by highest risk to lowest risk. And then if you want an additional degree of confidence, you could go out and inspect, choose a few of those pipes that you want to inspect before doing a project there or something like that. But it sort of narrows your focus to most likely area where you'll get your bang for your buck. You're not starting with 100% of your assets wondering where to go. You're honed in on the higher risk assets where you can start to look closer. Place it, or do we want to do further investigation?
Yeah. Well, thank you for the presentation. I appreciate this, and wish you all the best of luck as this is deployed, because it definitely will help with some of the challenges we've seen. That's all I got, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Michael Garcia. Councilor Lee Garcia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the presentation. So I guess we just maybe ask, what is this replacing, or do we have anything that it's replacing? And how long does it take to kind of get all once it's implemented? I mean, obviously we're trying to identify how to revamp our whole system, and that can take many, many years. So what are we looking at?
Chair. So the Source of Supply Group has an existing maintenance management software that does a piece of what this software does, and that will get replaced by this new software. We also has a similar maintenance management software that will get replaced by this new software. And then that's about it in terms of existing software tools we have to accomplish what this. So this will replace those, as well as a lot of additional for our team to use system. In terms of timing and rollout, it's about a 6 to 9 month rollout for public utilities. Obviously, we want to start low. We don't want to sort of throw everybody in with all this requirements and tools that they have to master. So we kind of want them to build confidence in it, get to know the system basic work order tool, a little more basic functionality, but there's so many tools in here that you can continue to build and grow and add tools in here as you get confident.
Yeah, kind of visualize an old house with a bunch of old pipes and they're all in the walls and you can't see them. And so how do you identify which one's going to go next once you fix one leak? And, you know, I think to Councilor Michael Garcia's point, it seems like now we're getting more alerts that there's water main breaks and, you know, and again, hopefully this is a tool that can be utilized to identify the areas of most need and we can tackle those areas and move on. We are an old city and I think there's a lot of need to address these issues. Instead of having to have guys out there at 2 a.m. working on a busted pipes. Just a few questions and comments. Thank you so much.
Sir Romero Ward?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for the presentation. This is really exciting, I think. So appreciate the work on this. And I'm just curious, does it allow you to have kind of an overall sense of the state of our infrastructure? Like, can you rank it as being, I don't know, some level of good?
Yeah, Madam Chair, Councilor Romero, we're
I would just ask you to, you have a very soft voice. I know people listening, you really have to almost swallow these darn things to be heard. So sorry.
Yeah, to answer your question, there's various metrics you can sort of establish, like operational goals, or we would call them levels of service, that you can establish a goal for, that you can then track in this system if you want to, using some of the dashboarding tools. Like say you have a goal for main breaks per 100 miles or something like that. You can use this to sort of track how your system is doing compared to that, or there any other tools that you want to track to see how your performance is doing, whether it's maybe service outages per year or something like that. You set a metric for, as long as you're tracking the data somewhere, whether it's in this system or somewhere else, we could trend that, see how we're doing compared to our benchmark or our goal. And then there's some nationwide data that you can look at to see how you're doing compared to the other municipalities or something as well.
That's helpful. And I guess the other question I have, it was referenced District 2 water main breaks, and I think District 2 has some of the oldest infrastructure in the city, being the oldest, is having in it some of the oldest neighborhoods. Would you be looking at sort of the age of infrastructure in different parts of the city against, you know, where you're seeing kind of problems? Because maybe it is aging infrastructure, maybe it's some other cause. Just curious if that's something that you filtered for.
It's one of the factors that goes into our analysis, but it's certainly not the only one. A lot of times people will just use age, but that can sometimes not be a great predictor of main breaks, because some of the older pipe is a lot thicker and maybe better material than some of the more recent pipe. So it's a factor, but additional factors we might look at are soil conditions in that area. Is it like corrosive soil or something like that? Proximity to railways and things like that, because you can pick up stray currents and different things that could deteriorate the pipe as well. So it's a factor, but there's several others that go into the analysis as well.
Thank you. That's very helpful. And again, thank you for the work. Thank you for the presentation. I do think this is really important step forward for us as a city to being able to understand our assets and to take care of them at the highest level. So thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Merrill Worth. Councilor Castro?
Chair, thank you so much for the presentation. I do have some questions, I think in the same vein of how we build on this. Are there things that we can add to some of this in the future to look for toxins? Is it looking at sort of the corrosive, like you mentioned, soils around these areas? That's already part of this analysis?
Madam Chair, Councilor Castro, that will be a piece of this new modeling tool that we use to help decide with our priority line replacement. Soil maps is one of those components. In terms of toxins and things like that, I think that's beyond what this will do. I can't speak too much to that, but soil conditions and corrosivity, things like that.
And in terms of training, how many city employees are going to be interacting with this new technology, and what are the training that we're going to be offering to those employees?
So specifically with the asset management software, throughout the implementation, OpenGov will be in direct contact and working with everyone from, me down to our field crews out in the field who's actually doing the repairs or the replacements. And there's trainings built into the implementation process. And there'll be like a sandbox feature where people can actually get in and interact with the software before it goes live to familiarize yourself. And then after the fact, they've got support and the help desk and things like that. So if additional questions come up, they'll still be available to reach out to answer questions. But in terms of specific numbers of employees, I don't have a specific number off the top of my head, but field crews will be working on it. Managers will be using it. So there will be quite a few people interacting with it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Madam Chair, if I could add a little bit to that too. They'll also be extremely involved in designing the system. So as we set up the interface, what do the work order pages look like? What kind of data can they get? What's reasonable to expect? So we're planning on really involving them in the design of the system, not just handing it to them after the fact. And they're already involved, and it'll be the same as for utilities. It'll be all of our field crew, all our streets crew, all our parks crew, all our stormwater field people. So that'll be an important part. They'll actually help to design it, because it won't be of any value if we can't keep it up to date. And it's their day-to-day work that's going to mostly keep it up to date. So it's really important that they're a part of the design.
Thank you. Well said, Director. No more further questions, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. I was going to ask questions about training. I think it's very exciting. And when we get new software, when we get any new type of procedures or systems that will make things more efficient, it's really exciting. But then you realize that it's only going to be as efficient as the people that are using it, because we have so many things out there that we don't use to the fullest at times because of lack of training or because of lack of follow through or follow up in how things are being utilized. So I think it's very good to hear that there will be, very, there is a training plan involved in just building the system and using the system. I think that's important, because I'll say it again, it'll only be as effective as, consistently we use it. I also wanted to talk about the factors. So what's great about asset management is it gives us a lot of data, and it's really nice, I think, as a municipality when we're serving constituents, because it allows them to understand why we respond proactively or reactively when things, go wrong. But I think really getting some more information on these factors that we keep talking about will be beneficial, especially if this is going to generate a list of priorities for them to understand how those priorities were ranked based on the many factors that are being considered. I just would recommend that information be shared publicly as those priority lists are made. Because I think based on the questions just from the committee members here, I think there's a lot of questions about the factors, and, there are age, there is weather, there's the soil it's in, it's the brand of infrastructure used, it's all of these different things. But I think just really being transparent about that will add value to the actual software being used. But I think it's really exciting. Anytime we have asset management, I think it's a way for us to be smart about our money as a city. And it's information to give our constituents so they understand why we operate the way we do. So very exciting. So thank you, Director. Thank you, Mr. Durgans. I appreciate your time this evening. Any other questions, follow-up questions? All right, thank you. All right, so we are going to move to the next item on our agenda, and we did not get anything pulled from consent. So that would be matters from staff. So we'll start with Director Wheeler.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. I have a little update on the Beckner Richards signal, this longest project in history. You might have noticed the poles are sitting on the ground out there. That was the long lead time item, so they have arrived. When they were about to put them up, they did run into a fiber box that was right where we wanted to put the poles, so we had to assess right-of-way availability. We found some, and they're going to be relocated, and we have pretty good confidence we'll be done by the end of this month on that. You've seen, I think some sidewalk work has been done out there, so you've seen some progress. We're really making our way towards the finish line. Guadalupe Street project is going really well. They did take the Christmas holiday off, but it is still scheduled to be done end of June this summer, so counting down. I wanted to give the governing body, the Public Works Committee, a general update on the 57 grant agreements that we've been processing this year that we got since the audit was completed this year. Only in May, I think. More than half of them are executed. So it's really exciting. It's $47 million. It's 57 grant agreements itself. There's a lot of administrative overhead. Many you've seen, 3 of them were on the packet today. It's a lot of administrative overhead. Some of them have to have resolutions too. So thank you guys so much for your support in, reading through those packets and getting them approved so that we can keep working on them. Irregardless of whether the grants have been fully executed in money in hand at this point, the staff is all aware of them, and they're doing procurement in advance and planning in advance. And in some cases, governing body has provided one-time money that's being used to has already started the project and it's underway. And then this additional money will come and lay on top and take care of future phases. So it's a lot of work, but we're making good progress. And little by little, I think you'll start to see more and more things. The pedestrian bridge, I think most of you have seen, the one over by Shelby Street near the court is in design. So that design purchase order has been awarded, and they're responsible to come up with a number of designs. One prefabricated, obviously we all think that would be a good fit, but it's really up to Historic Review Board. So we'll be bringing a few different designs to them. And we hope to bring an update to the Public Works Committee or governing body of all, probably 120 capital projects that we have to give you a sense of where they're all at. But things are moving well, and we're proud of making progress with the legislative appropriations. Thank you.
Great, thanks for the updates, Director. Director Roach?
No updates from utility staff, and I do believe that the committee probably knows that I am serving as interim utilities department director.
Thank you, Director Roach. And next is matters from the committee. Are there any matters from the committee today?
So I want to invite everyone, if they have a chance, Saturday, January 11th, the Santa Fe Public Schools is having a celebration for their bilingual ed program. So it's on social media, and it'd be great to see everyone from 12 to 3, I believe.
Great, thank you. Matters from the chair. I do want to thank Director Miller for the update on Beckner. I did get a few calls from constituents, and they expressed hope because they saw the improvements, and there's a start to something, is what one of them said, and so they were thanking the city, and they were all very positive. So I appreciate it's very opposite from what we had been hearing before. So I thank you for that update. And with that, our next meeting will be in 2 weeks. And we are adjourned. Thank you.